Hello everybody and welcome to Barcelona, the season finale of the International GTOpen. 2 races over the course of the weekend will decide which of our 5 cars will claim the 2017 crown. It has been a brilliant year so far and it has come to the boil beautifully here on a wonderful autumn day at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. So it's hello from Ben Evans as the cars take to the grid. Preparation for what promises to be a thrilling 70 minutes of racing. Qualifying this morning has seen all of our championship contenders up at the sharp end of the grid, and it's been enough to bring Biaggi out to play. In terms of the standings coming in to today's race, it is Giovanni Venturini who leads the championship, and he is on 97 points. He is 5 points clear of Fran and Victor Bouveng, who are second in the standings. Acosta and Filip from Villa are third on 83 points, 14 points back. Thomas Biaggi is fourth on the points, and the points 77 points, 20 points adrift, with then Mikael and Mikkel Mack in the mix as well mathematically. But it is going to be an absolutely thrilling weekend of racing. Thomas Biaggi, fourth in the standings. Can he make it back-to-back crowns? For Giovanni Venturini, it's all about what he and Marco Mappelli can do. And there is the car of Giovanni Venturini. Marco Mappelli was flying in qualifying early. It lines up in third place, but was just 58 thousandths of a second off pole position, but crucially only did one flying run. Pole position went to the Emil Frey Racing Lexus of Acosta and Filip from Villa, the drivers third in the championship standings, and they took pole by just 21 thousandths of a second from Christian Engelhardt, who partners Vito Postiglione this weekend in the third of the Imperiale Racing Lamborghinis. Victor Bouveng and Fran second in the standings will line up from 6th place. They were 3/10 off pole position, with Thomas Biaggi and Raffaele Giammaria lining up in 7th. Mikael and Mikkel Mack lining up in 9th, but Ramos showing really consistent pace throughout the course of the session. The top 16 cars separated by under a second. So the cars forming up on the grid now, getting ready for this slightly longer 70-minute race. There is, of course, the mandatory pit stop. Comes midway through. There is the element of strategy, success seconds to work through. Well, it is possible that we will see a champion crowned today, but it would require Giovanni Venturini to finish well up the order and for all of his principal championship rivals to be well down the order, as Antonio Coimbra and Luis Silva, they've got the luxury of having wrapped up the AM Championship last time out in Monza, so they can enjoy the weekend's racing. There's also the Pro-Am Championship to be resolved between Rob Bell and Sean Balfe and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini. Grid starting to be cleared as Acosta, fingers crossed for him. It's going to be quite the challenge into turn 1. Christian Engelhardt drafted in this weekend for the Imperiale Racing team, and the German, who has been very, very quick throughout the course of 2016 elsewhere, will try and get the jump on Costa off the line. For Marco Mappelli and Giovanni Venturini, watch for this pairing playing the long game. Mappelli only did one flying lap in qualifying, or only did one flying run in qualifying. It was enough to get him almost onto pole position. Pole position in the Pro-Am class going the way of Tom Onslow Cole alongside Valentin Pierre. Onslow Cole, an excellent 4th place overall in the SPS Automotive Mercedes. Lining up in 5th then, after post-qualifying Shuffles for the farmbacker Lexus is Victor Bouveng alongside Fran. Now again, watch for how the team apply the strategy over the course of both races through the weekend, with then Raffaele Giamaria alongside Thomas Biaggi in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini in 6th. So we've got all 3 Imperiale Lamborghinis right at the sharp end of the field. Dominic Farnbacker was flying in qualifying. Farnbacker Racing Lexus, he and Mario Farnbacker will be hoping to provide assistance where possible to Albert Costa, Filip from Villa, and then second in the Pro-Am class is Rob Bell in the Balf Motorsport McLaren. Now watch the McLarens as we get into race conditions, because talking to the drivers, they feel the McLaren over the course of the race has got very good pace. Miguel Ramos lines up in 9th in the Spirit of Race Ferrari, Ramos, who claimed the crown 2 years ago here in Barcelona. Teo Martin Motorsport McLaren. Cars just getting fired up on the grid. So the grid is clear. We are moments away from the green flag lap, head for the penultimate race of the International GTOpen season. This then is how they line up in full. Albert Costa and Christian Engelhardt on the front row of the grid, ahead of Marco Mappelli and Tom Onslow Cole on row 2. Row 3, Victor Bouveng and Raffaele Giamaria. Row 4 of the grid for Dominic Farnbacker and Rob Bell. Row 5 is Miguel Ramos and Duncan Tappy. The 6th row of the grid is Lorenzo Beiralt Viega and Richard Gonda making his debut in the championship. 7th on the grid for Craig Dolby and Marco Ciocci. It's the Jordan Racing Bentley of Jordan Witt alongside the Optima Motorsport Audi of Bradley Ellis on row 8. Row 9, Antonio Liuzzi and Hendrik Still in a brace of Lamborghini Huracans. Rinaldi Racing Ferrari of Rinat Salikov inside of row 10 alongside Marcello Hahn. And champion Antonio Coimbra lines up 21st ahead of Alex West. Then Marcio Basso and Ivor Dunbar share row 12 ahead of Fu Song Yang in the SF Racing Ferrari, a car which was quickest yesterday in free practice. They've got the formation lap to get a little bit of heat into the control compound Michelin tyre. The pit window is between the 28th and 42nd minute of the race. We have got the benefit of lots of in-car cameras for you this afternoon. That is a view back from Albert Costa, looking at Christian Engelhardt. For Costa, that run to first corner is going to be all important. For Victor Bouveng, what can he do from 5th on the grid? He and Fran Rueda have been consistently racking up the points. Dominic Farnbacker, he had great pace in the Farnbacker Racing Lexus all the way through qualifying, as they just weave about, warm up the Michelin tyre before they start to bunch up side by side, ready for this 70-minute race. 5 combinations in contention for the championship, 30 points left on the table this weekend. In reality, Giovanni Venturini, Fran Rueda, Victor Bouveng, and then the Costa from Villa pairing, those 3 cars are the ones that are most likely to come away with the crown tomorrow evening. But Thomas Biaggi, Mikael Ramos and Mikkel Mack could still yet sweep to the title if events go their way. The first task for all of them, though, is to negotiate the first lap. Stay out of trouble, stay out of contact. As the pace car brings them around, it will then be the responsibility of Albert Costa and the Emil Frey Racing Lexus to pace the field as the pace car swings off the road. Costa leads them through the final turn. It's then looking to the gantry. There are the red lights. The thunder starts to build as we're about to go racing for the penultimate time this year in the International GTOpen. And we go now, and away we go. It's a good start from Victor Bouveng. It's a brilliant getaway from Marco Mappelli, and Albert Costa is going to be swamped by Mercedes and Lamborghinis towards turn one. It's 4 wide at the front of the field. How are they going to make it through the first corner? It's Mappelli who leads the way from Engelhardt, and then Victor Bouveng. Albert Costa tries to fight his way through. Several run wide, including Rafael Legia-Maria, but it's all clean thus far. Oh no, it's not. Craig Dolby comes together with Vitantonio Liuzzi, and the Wessex vehicles, Gallardo hammers into the tyre wall. Hopefully he's okay, as the rest of the pack continue towards turn 4. We might be looking at the safety car, as already Mappelli tries to break clear of Bouveng. Then it's Engelhardt who bottles up Albert Costa, as Tom Onslow-Cole was right with Rob Bell. Mikael Ramos also looking to make a little bit of ground, trying to overhaul Richard Gonda. Lorenzo Berardi Viega running side by side with Duncan Tappy, and it's Tappy who loses out. It's the field sprint out of turn 8, swooping through turn 9, and then running on downhill towards turn 10. Jordan Racing Bentley also jostling for position as Berardi Viega darts the inside of Miguel Ramos, pushes the Spirit of Race Ferrari out wide. Tappy looks to fight back as well. As at the front of the field, Mappelli's got the advantage over Victor Bouveng, and it's quite a substantial one. Engelhardt in third position, with Albert Costa tucked up right behind him, and then Rafael Legia-Maria. Although Gia-Maria may have to give some places back. He seemed to gain an awful lot of ground after that off-track excursion through turn 1. Anyway, they all accelerate their way through to conclude the first lap of the race, with Mappelli trying to stretch away from Victor Bouveng. Then it's Engelhardt, Albert Costa, Rafael Legia-Maria, Duncan Tappy defending from the Bentley, the Rinaldi Ferrari, Rinat Salikov also showing strongly. Can now go green flag racing again as they come out of turn 3. And Onslow-Cole's got a good run, and Rob Bell further back for the lead of the Pro-Am class. And Tom Onslow-Cole looks like he's going to sneak past Rob Bell. Indeed he does. So Onslow-Cole gains the position. As we look back from Albert Costa, there is Rafael Legia-Maria hassling the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. And Costa just didn't get the start to the race that he wanted, but I'm sure we'll see the replays in a couple of moments' time. But he was just swamped by those around him, who was a tenth of a second later than some of the others onto the throttle. It meant that the Lamborghinis and the BMW all got the jump on him. As now Costa looks to challenge Engelhardt, and this is going to be the challenge, because Christian Engelhardt was drafted into the squad this weekend partly for exactly this scenario, which is just to keep the Emil Frey Racing Lexus bottled up and prevent Albert Costa from being able to chase down Marco Mappelli. Oh, and Costa runs wide, and he's going to lose the place as well to Rafael Legia-Maria. In fact, he joins back in, right into 4th position. But is that the bonnet that has jettisoned itself from the Lexus? Here's another look at what happened at turn 1. And there's Gia-Maria rejoining. Now, what happened to Craig Dolby? Yeah, it was Liuzzi who got pushed across and speared Dolby straight into tyre wall. Dolby completely innocent in that, but sadly a lot of damage to the front of the Wessex vehicle's Lamborghini. Oh, it's the bonnet from Rafael Legia-Maria that's gone flying. Now I just wonder, given that Costa rejoined in 4th, whether he may have had some assistance from Gia-Maria as they went into turn 13. Gia-Maria slithers wide. He's going to lose out possibly to Tom Onslow-Cole into turn 4. Onslow-Cole's got the inside line in the SPS Mercedes. Gia-Maria looks to dispute it down towards turn 5, still disputes it. Almost contact between the pair of them. They give each other racing room, but tenacious stuff this, as Onslow-Cole has got a very good car underneath him this afternoon. Gia-Maria is possibly suffering from an absence of front downforce, given that much of the front of the car has made a bid for freedom. And the radiator dangling as well. And now Albert Costa, headlights ablaze, looks to the move and angle hard, and he goes for it. Albert Costa into third position at turn 10. Beautifully done by the Lexus driver. Can he hold the place? Yes, he can, as they head towards turn 12. So Costa goes third. Now we've got the top 3 cars in the championship running in the top 3 places in the race. That's a lap ago, and yet there was a little bit of a nudge there from Giovanni, which is why Costa ran wide. It's also why he felt entitled to rejoin where he did. And the front of the Lamborghini going some way up in the air. Rob Bell also passed Raffaele Giovanni. Meanwhile, Mikael Ramos has got the run on Richard Gonda. Marco Mappelli is under pressure from Victor Bouveng. Still double waves yellow flags over at turn 1. As the recovery work continues. Well, what starts the race, and we are still in the very early stages, just 6 minutes in. As Giovanni looks to come back at Rob Bell. Now, for Rob Bell, things stay as they are. He and Sean Balfe will wrap up the Pro-Am title in today's race. Particularly as Marco Ciocci is some way down and has been in the pits in the AF Course Ferrari. Duncan Tappy, meanwhile, threatening Miguel Ramos. They're all tucked up behind the Incur Racing BMW of Richard Gonda. Dominic Farnbacher also part of this scrap. Lorenzo Beraldiviega having just escaped it. Jordan Witt, Rinat Salikov and Bradley Ellis also all engaging in the tussle. Now, Lorenzo Beraldiviega, partnered this weekend by Antonio Felix da Costa. That car will look to provide assistance to Fran Rueda and Victor Bouveng if they can. Later on in proceedings. Now, the Incur Racing BMW is neither scoring nor blocking points this weekend, which means that although Miguel Ramos would like to clear Richard Gonda, actually Ramos would still pick up the points for 9th place, even though that's where Gonda is. And that is how Slovakian lost out to Lorenzo Beraldiviega. So, returning to the lead of the race, Mappelli has got a wiggle on now that he sees that Costa is coming, and Albert Costa already trying to chase down Victor Bouveng. For Albert Costa and Filip Frommenwiller, they have got a fair chunk of ground to make up. They are 14 points adrift of Giovanni Venturini, and therefore, if Venturini were to take any points off them today, then that would be enough to eliminate them from the title fight. So for Albert Costa, he has to finish in front of the 63 Lamborghini. That's not quite the same task for Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda. In terms of handicaps, that of course is our other consideration. And Albert Costa and Filip Frommenwiller, they've got no success seconds in the pits, unlike Venturini Mappelli, who've got 10 seconds, as do Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda. Meanwhile, Rinat Salikov to the inside of Jordan Witt. And Witt won't have found that very funny, because the Ferrari hustles past the Bentley. So for Albert Costa, if he can stay within 10 seconds of Marco Mappelli, then that would give Filip Frommenwiller the lead of the race post pit stops, all things being equal, through the pit cycle. At the same time, Costa would really like to be right with Mappelli rather than it being a marginal thing. At the moment, it's 2.7 seconds adrift of the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. As close up onto Bouveng on the brakes. Now, what was Giovanni doing there? Appeared to be moving right across to signal something to the Imperiale pit wall. It's the Balfe Motorsport McLaren of Rob Bell. And the real challenge here for Giovanni is that radiator is looking somewhat precarious. There's a possibility that he might pick up a technical black flag before too long, particularly if the radiator were to start to deposit a little bit of fluid on the circuit. but certainly the pace of the Lamborghini doesn't appear to be affected too badly as Giovanni is coming back at Rob Bell. The challenge here for Giovanni is, though, again, it's almost certainly going to eliminate Thomas Biaggi from this championship fight. Third in the Pro-Am class, it's currently Richard Gonda. Fourth is Duncan Tappy. Head of Jordan Witt and Bradley Ellis. As Costa looking for the move on Victor Bouveng. The Lexus draws alongside the BMW. It's the repeat of the move, and Engelhardt a few laps ago. And with exactly the same result, Albert Costa gains the place on the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. So Costa up into second position. Now it's the pursuit of Marco Mappelli. What can Costa do? The word after qualifying was that he still felt there was a little bit of time to come, even though he set pole position. But then Mappelli, we didn't really see the true hand of in qualifying. So Albert Costa, 3.2 seconds, his deficit to Marco Mappelli in the Imperiale Racing Ferrari. We are 11 minutes into the race. Meanwhile, Christian Engelhardt being caught by Tom Onslow-Cole. And Onslow-Cole in really feisty form again this weekend. As the season's unfolded, he's been one of the quickest guys on the grid consistently. And he and Valentin Pierre looking for more success in the Pro-Am class. Another look here at the move from Albert Costa. A gap presented itself. Bouveng wasn't unable to shut the door until too late. Costa, former Formula 1 and 2-litre Euro Cup champion, former McGann Trophy champion. Didn't he claim that honour here in Barcelona back in 2012? So there you see what it means in the Drivers' Championship if things stay as they are. And for Costa and Fromavilla, that is enough to eliminate them from the championship fight. Onslow-Cole draws alongside Christian Engelhardt into turn 10. Nothing doing. Good scrap this between the pair of them. Swinging out of turn 12 on towards turn 13. They flick through the chicane, coming through to the end of the 7th lap of the race. The gap from Mappelli to Costa has gone out by a further 0.2 of a second. And Albert Costa under investigation for that, coming together with Raffaele Giammaria at turn 13. Giammaria under investigation too. Hopefully, because all's well that ended well, that's not going to lead to any penalties. Meanwhile, here is the traffic jam behind Richard Gonda, and Rinat Salikov really having a whale of a time this afternoon. Another bold passing move, this time on Duncan Tappy in the Garage 59 McLaren. Christian Engelhardt and Tom Onslow-Cole, as Engelhardt is being prodded along by Onslow-Cole, they are getting onto terms with Victor Bouveng fairly rapidly. They took 7/10 out of the Swedish driver last time around. And Bouveng running in splendid isolation for the moment in third. About to be joined by the Green Meanies, because Imperiale Ferrari leading the SPS Automotive McLaren. They tussle over 4th and 5th. And Engelhardt is not falling for the trick of leaving even half a door open into turn 10 again, but he brakes quite deep and late for turn 10. Rob Bell, second in the Pro-Am class. Still being pursued by Raffaele Giammaria. Now the pit window opens at 28 minutes on the race clock. That means when there are 42 minutes on the countdown clock remaining, so we're about 13 minutes away from that happening. Got more investigation underway, this time for Bradley Ellis and Jordan Witt. Didn't see what happened between the pair of them. So all these battles thunder down the start and finish straight. Miguel Ramos initially appeared to have quite a good run on the Incur Racing BMW, but not enough to overhaul Richard Gonda by the time they arrived into turn 1. Then we've got Dominic Farnbacher, who's part of this scrap. Rinat Salikov leads the AM class from Antonio Coimbra and Marcio Basso. Swanslow Cole, the green Mercedes, continues to be the preeminent force in the Pro-Am class. The front of the field, Marco Mapelli, is 3.5 seconds up the road from Albert Costa. As I say, through the pit stops with the handicaps, by my reckoning, that would feed Filip Fromavilla out if everything else was identical, with about a 7-second advantage for Giovanni Venturini to try and chase down. Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda, the keys really to finish in 3rd position. Sonslow Cole just drops back momentarily from Engelhardt. We've got more cars under investigation. This time, Victor Bouveng for a yellow flag infringement. Now that could be very significant. A penalty for Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda could suddenly swing championship considerations very firmly in the direction of Giovanni Venturini. We ride in car with the race leader Marco Mapelli. And Mapelli joining the effort from Silverstone onwards and has been ferociously quick thereafter. So he leads 4 seconds now, his advantage over Albert Costa. 3rd place, Victor Bouveng. 4th, Christian Engelhardt. 5th, and Pro-Am class leader Tom Onslow Cole. 6th is Rob Bell. 7th, Rafael Legia Maria. 8th, Lorenzo Beral de Viega. 9th, Richard Gonda. 10th is Miguel Ramos. We've only lost Vitantonio Liuzzi and Craig Dolby from proceedings. I fear in the case of Dolby, possibly from the weekend after the impact that the Lamborghini had with the tyre wall. A little bit of a seesaw at the wheel there in the cockpit for Tom Onslow Cole. He's just slipping a little bit back from Christian Engelhardt, but he and Engelhardt have done a very good job of reeling in Victor Bouveng. 10 minutes away from the pit window opening. The race only now just starting to settle down, as that's Rinat Salikov rotating. Here's another look at what happened. Duncan Tappy applies the pressure. Duncan Tappy, very hard to see from that angle whether or not he applied assistance as well as pressure. In any event, the result was a rotating Rinaldi, Ferrari, and Salikov rejoins, lost a couple of places. We've got another car in a spot of bother, which is Jordan Witt, who has plummeted down to 19th place, and that's why. So Witt comes to a halt at turn 6, and the Bentley in a very exposed position now. Is that going to bring out... He had some sort of moment with Bradley Ellis a couple of laps ago. The cutthroat signal from the marshal suggests that the Bentley's going nowhere fast, and if that is the case, as Marco Mapelli is about to arrive at the scene, are we going to see the introduction of the safety car coming just to bunch the field up just as we approach the pit window? The incident involving Duncan Tappy and Rinat Salikov is also under investigation, and the safety car comes out. So the safety car has been scrambled for the recovery of Jordan Witt's Bentley, as we rather feared might be the case. But my goodness me, what timing in the race. Just a few moments away from the pit window opening, and Marco Mapelli's hard-won advantage whittled away. It means that Giovanni Venturini is going to feel the full force of the pit handicap success seconds as well. So the field all bunching up. It shouldn't be too long safety car incursion here at all, but the timing of this in the race, and this is the wonderful thing about these final events of any season, is you always get these twists in the plot and everything takes on a magnified importance. You can just see there on Giovanni Venturini's face what it means to him. For Albert Costa, this is a golden opportunity. Of course, although the pit window opens in a few moments' time, it doesn't close until there are just 28 minutes left in the race. So there's still an opportunity for Marco Mapelli to try and spread the field, but it opens the door to those who don't have success seconds in the pits. So will also potentially hurt Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda. What it also does is gives the opportunity somebody like Alex West, who's got Com Ledegar waiting in the wings, to see the 88 Garage 59 McLaren jumping up the order. Likewise for Lorenzo Barral de Viegas as he hands over to Antonio Felix da Costa. So lots to ponder. There is the in-car from Marco Mapelli as he gets the chance to inspect the safety car. And the sudden drop of pace. These drivers also in-car with Victor Bouveng. Got in-car cameras with all our championship contenders for today's race. And the cars almost sound pained running behind safety car like that. Filip from Villa readies himself. The field hopefully will only have 1 or 2 laps behind the safety car, because already the car of Jordan Witt has been cleared. It was, there indeed is Jordan Witt's car being cleared. It was always going to be a quick recovery. The challenge being, it was just such a dangerous situation that the car was in. So safety car in this lap. It's been a brief interruption of the safety car. So at least the good news for Marco Mapelli is that the race clock hasn't ticked down too much, but it has served to completely bunch up the field. In terms of the AM class, Renat Salikov still leads that from Antonio Coimbra and Marcio Basso. The Pro-Am class, it's Tom Onslow Cole from Rob Bell and Richard Gonda. So at what point now does Marco Mapelli back the field up and then pull the pin to get racing once more? Lights out on the safety car as Mapelli paces the field towards the chicane. Best guess is he's going to really punch the throttle as they come out of the chicane. That's certainly what Albert Costa's banking on. He gave himself a little bit of space to anticipate it, so we get back up to racing speed immediately. Mapelli's judged that very well. Costa read it, but Victor Bouveng under a little bit of pressure maybe from Christian Engelhardt as the field sprint down towards turn 1 once more. Mapelli and Costa just weave around, try to get a little bit of heat back into the Michelin tyre. Meanwhile, Lorenzo Barral de Viegas right up behind Rafael Egea Maria. Richard Gonda trying to join into that scrap as well. But at least the top 10 all stay out of trouble through turns 1 and 2. There's no change in the order either at the front of the pack. But the gaps have come down. Just over 45 minutes left in the race. The pit window opens in 4 minutes' time. Running downhill through turn 5. Miguel Ramos busy defending from Dominic Farnbacher. Duncan Tappy just behind. So Bradley Ellis and Renat Salikov all part of that group as immediately Onslow Cole coming back onto terms with Christian Engelhardt. Some great tussles all the way through the field. Hendrick's still also going well in the Conrad Lamborghini. We've not spoken much about it, as a little bit of a coming together there between Antonio Coimbra and Marcello Hahn. Hahn the beneficiary as the two Mercedes swap paint schemes. Mapelli trying to ease away from Albert Costa, coming to the end of the 13th lap of the race. Still lots of moments under investigation. Antonio Coimbra and Marcello Hahn, the latest to win that honour, as across the line. Mapelli's advantage over Acosta, just 0.6 of a second. Then the gap back to Victor Bouveng. Christian Engelhardt under threat from Tom Onslow Cole. Rob Bell secure in that 6th position. Raphael Echeverria likewise in 7th. It's the field starting to stretch out once more, but the top 14 cars all covered by just 10 seconds. And the challenge here for those with success seconds, it's not just going to be where they are relative to the championship rivals. There's also going to potentially be a lot of traffic to try and navigate for track position later on in the race. Even if the cars aren't points-paying positions, if they're delaying sufficiently, then that is going to cause problems as well. Right, confirmation, no further action for Albert Costa or Raphael Echeverria after their incident over at turn 13. So Costa able to continue with a clear conscience and without the threat of any sort of disciplinary proceedings over his shoulder. Meanwhile, Victor Bouveng under real pressure now from Christian Engelhardt. And the Teo Martin Motorsport driver will be in fairly early in the pit window, I would suggest, to hand over to Fran Rueda. Likewise, for Miguel Ramos to Mikkel Mack, and they could also be big winners from the time in the safety car. We ride on board with Marco Mapelli. And this is what's so impressive about these top-level professional drivers is Mapelli is absolutely flying. He's leading the race. To ride in car with him, you wouldn't know it. He's so smooth behind the wheel. As now Onslow Cole's got a run on Engelhardt. Engelhardt trying to get a run on Victor Bouveng. As the race leaders thunder down towards turn 1. The top 11 cars separated by just 9.6 seconds. 43 minutes left on the clock. The pit window will be open by the time they come round to complete this, the 15th lap of the race. By my admittedly very shaky maths, Giovanni, Venturini and Fran Rueda are going to have a fair amount of work to do to pick their way through some of the traffic. The winners from the time of the safety car could well be Albert Costa and Filip Fromville, also Miguel Ramos and Mikkel Mack. In the Spirit of Race Ferrari, currently in 10th, but it's the time differential and some of the cars that I think Mack will be able to clear reasonably rapidly post pit stops that could start to swing things a little bit in their favour, at least in terms of keeping the championship fight alive into tomorrow. Engelhardt defends again from Onslow Cole towards turn 10, but they're all bottled up behind Victor Bouveng here as the pit window is now open. Can't imagine that Engelhardt's going to jump into the pit lane early on, nor will Tom Onslow Cole. Victor Bouveng may pass on to Fran Rueda, put a fresh set of boots on the car. See what the Spaniard can do as Bouveng just has a little bit of a moment. Oh, he wants to go into the pit lane, and Bouveng almost thumps in to Engelhardt. Tom Onslow Cole has to take evasive action. And that was a little bit precarious, and it's opened the door to Rob Bell to challenge Onslow Cole as they blast down the start and finish straight. So they all got delayed through the final turn. As Bouveng abruptly turned across to the pits. He is in, so is Miguel Ramos to pass over to Mikkel Mack. The Teo Martin Motorsport team get to work. They're in the, there you see the Spirit of Race Ferrari. Along as well, Alan Cadet takes over from Marcello Hahn, Con Ledegaard from Alex West, Marcio Basso and Nono Figueiredo switch places as well. This is absolutely fantastic racing here in Barcelona. Thank you for joining us. Nono Figueiredo will get one of the 23 best seats in the house because he is about to jump into one of the cars that's still in the race and still in contention. Raphael Echeverria, despite the... now here we have it. Bouveng was just pushed out wide and then turned across, but having run wide, there was nowhere that Engelhardt wasn't going to go for that manoeuvre, and Tom Onslow Cole also having to take evasive action. Fortunately, no damage was done. Now, gaps to watch for here. Will Mikkel Mack emerged from the pits ahead of Fran Rueda. Not much in it between them. Alan Cadet comes out. Mack and Rueda, by the way, the out signal came at an identical point for both of them, so it's not clear from the timing screen which of those two cars has emerged to the fore of the queue. Meanwhile, Albert Costa still keeps Marco Mapelli honest. Just a second between the pair of them. Pit window closes in just over 11 minutes' time, so they have got plenty of opportunities to keep running out the laps. Oh, as Caldarelli emerges in the SF Racing Ferrari alongside Com Ledegar, just as Albert Costa heads through turn one. Now, this is not what Albert Costa would have wanted, which is two of the quickest guys in the business, Caldarelli and Com Ledegar, snapping at his heels, whilst Costa is in the middle of a championship title fight with Marco Mapelli up ahead of him. It would appear from our timing screen as well as if Fran Rueda has emerged from the pits ahead of Mikael Mack, so that is not going to make life easy for Mack. He'd been hoping to jump the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW and press on in the spirit of race Ferrari. For Andrea Caldarelli, there's a chance of a pretty good result from this race in the SF Racing Ferrari. The timing of the safety car means that he's not really given away, not lost any time. And so he can challenge for a Pro-Am podium. Costa still right with Marco Mapelli. Caldarelli and Ledegar snapping at Costa's heels. It's the Lamborghini and the Lexus fighting front of the field for the championship. The Ferrari and BMW in the mix have pitted early. And a busy scrapping. As Caldarelli closes right onto the tail of Albert Costa coming out of the chicane. Costa sprints through. He wants to keep the Ferrari behind him if he can. Ledegar flashing his headlights at Caldarelli because they've got their own races to go for. They've got a possibility of Pro-Am podium. Now we've got Duncan Tappy's team manager, Garage 59 McLaren squad, summoned to race control. As into the pit lane now comes Christian Engelhardt's handover to Vito Postiglione. First of the Imperiale Racing pit stops to be completed. Engelhardt gets out, Postiglione gets in. Also in is Lorenzo Berau de Viega. He hands over to Antonio Felix da Costa. So Martin's squad get to work. Caldarelli flashing his headlights at Albert Costa. And both Caldarelli and Costa having had great success here at Barcelona in Formula Renault 2-litre racing, going back a long time ago. And now battle somewhat rejoined. And of course, all this for Albert Costa means he's just losing a little bit of ground to our race leader, Marco Mapelli. Now, Marco Mapelli will want to feed Giovanni Venturini back into the fray with the best possible advantage if he can. Although the success seconds are going to work themselves through. Meanwhile, Fran Rueda, who's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 46.7 for Fran Rueda, but the team manager has been summoned to race control, so Rueda's possibly in trouble. It seemed to be quite a short pit stop, as also into the pits now comes Albert Costa, as does Marco Mapelli. So the race leaders are in. Mapelli and Costa peel into the pit lane. It's going to be Giovanni Venturini who'll take over the Imperiale Racing Ferrari. Filip Fromenvilla in the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. The battle is now joined in the pit lane. It's a great job from Mapelli as Venturini hops in, the two cars next to each other in the pit lane. Now with success seconds, our understanding is that Filip Fromenvilla should be on his way a little bit before the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini, provided that the refuelling runs trouble-free. Now here is Mikael Mack, who is negotiating turn 9 now, in pursuit of Fran Rueda. Rueda has just set the fast lap of the race, but his team manager has been summoned to race control. These two cars are racing cars that are currently static in the pit lane. I'm watching with one eye on the television picture, one eye out of the commentary box window, and I have to tell you that there is a problem, I think, with the Emil Frey Racing Lexus pit stop. They've been struggling to get the fuel Bowser in, and indeed, as they pull out the pits, Giovanni Venturini is ahead of Filip Frommenville, and the advantage the Emil Frey Racing Lexus team would have had, they've lost through the refuelling of the car, as Relator and Mack hurtle out to the final turn. Here comes Giovanni Venturini ahead of Filip Frommenville, and so Venturini is going to be fed out effectively into the lead of the race. There's Fran Relator in third, fourth position to Mikkel Mack, but there appeared, from what I could see from the commentary box, to be an issue with the refuelling for Filip Frommenville. The Emil Frey Racing Lexus team completed that job far later than they would have liked to have done, and it means that Giovanni Venturini has got every opportunity to do something quite special. The question now is, what can Fran Relator do? Can he overhaul the Emil Frey Racing Lexus and then set about chasing down the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini? Well, Frommenville running a little bit wide and has a big moment. Somehow Relator can't capitalise on it as they head to turn 9. How Frommenville didn't rotate then, we'll never know. But it opens the door to both Mikkel Mack and Fran Relator to challenge into turn 10. And Relator's going to go for it. Launches to the inside of Filip Frommenville. He pushes the Lexus out wide. Mikkel Mack surely is going to pass both of them. He does. Mack goes second. Relator starts the move where he finished it in third position. And now it's Mikkel Mack who is released to try and chase down Giovanni Venturini. It was a bold move from Fran Relator. He had to go for it. And all the while, this is allowing Venturini to try and ease away at the front of the field. 33 minutes left on the clock in what could be the championship deciding race of the International GTOpen season. Giovanni Venturini, of those that have pitted, effectively leads the way, with Fran Relator in pursuit of Mikkel Mack. Relator has been scintillatingly quick on occasion this year. Now here is Filip Frommenville's moment, and Relator just couldn't quite capitalise as the Lexus went very sideways very suddenly. But then a corner later, they had their sort out. It means that Filip Frommenville has been shuffled to the back of this pack. Fran Relator, currently the quickest car in the race, but bottled up behind Mikkel Mack. It's allowing Giovanni Venturini to sprint clear a little bit. And there you see Venturini well up the road. Fran Relator still got something hanging over his head in that the team manager's been summoned to race control. And the Teo Marti Motorsport team very well drilled, so you would hope that they won't incur a penalty for some sort of pit infringement. Meanwhile, Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham have had 5 seconds added to their race time as a result of that contact with Rinat Salikov. There is Teo Martin watching the progress of Fran Relator. Now the big question is whether or not Mikkel Mack can do anything about closing in on to Giovanni Venturini. If Venturini were to win the race and Fran Relator to finish in third, it wouldn't be enough to give Venturini the title today, but it would take the Italian a big step closer. And here is Giovanni Venturini. In terms of those that have not pitted, by the way, Tom Onslow Cole's the race leader from Rob Bell and Raffaele Giammaria. But it's really all about these 4 cars in contention for the championship, all running next to each other on the track as Mikkel Mack runs very wide through turn 3. But again, Fran Relator not quite able to capitalise. It shows, though, just how hard the Ferrari driver is trying. As they peel downhill through turn 5, and Relator really wants to clear Mack if he can, because last time around they gave away a couple of tenths of a second to Giovanni Venturini, but Fran Relator in clear air is capable of going half a second faster. use every inch of road downhill towards turn 10. Raiders not close enough to even have a lunge at Mikkel Mack. Hendrick still into the pit lane to hand over to Paul Stoisner. So that pit stop completed without any drama. Sean Balfours takes over from Rob Bell. Jakob Knoll in for Richard Gonda, and Sergei Borisov now at the wheel of the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. Another look at Mikkel Mack's huge moment at turn 3. So here is the race leader of those that have pitted, Giovanni Venturini, pursued by Mikkel Mack and Fran Raider. Filip Frommenvilla just starting to drop back from that group a little bit. Now can Rueda find a way past Mikkel Mack? In terms of taking the fight to Giovanni Venturini, that seems the most likely outcome. But Mack has been scintillatingly quick all year. He and Miguel Ramos still want to keep their championship hopes alive. That certainly is a possibility, particularly if anything were to go wrong for Giovanni Venturini, as Valentin Pierre now for Tom Onslow Cole. Thomas Biaggi will take over from fellow Gianmaria. Gianmaria rolls to a halt, extricates himself from the cockpit. Biaggi hops in. All go at the SPS Automotive pit box as well. Also Mike Benjamin for Duncan Tappi, Pier Giuseppe Perezzini for Marco Ciocci, Luis Silva for Antonio Coimbra. So the pit stop cycle coming to a close. Just as the pit window closes, some of them leaving it until the very, very last moment to get the job done. So we will find out at the end of the first sector on the next lap as to what the race order is going to be. But as yet, nobody emerging from the pits ahead of Giovanni Venturini. So he is the race leader. The championship leader leads the race. Second place is Mikkel Mack. Third, Fran Rueda. Fourth, Filip Frommenvilla. And Valentin Pierre and Thomas Biaggi emerging somewhere in and amongst this group. We will find out where in a moment's time. There is Thomas Biaggi, and Valentin Pierre has in fact come out into second position. So Pierre is going to have a very busy afternoon on his hands fairly shortly. Meanwhile, Alan Cadet to the inside of Jakob Knoll rather, and advantage Cadet now. It's another example of Mikkel Mack pushing absolutely to the limit of the spirit of race Ferrari. So the order is Venturini, Pierre, Mikkel Mack, Fran Rueda, Filip Frommenvilla in 5th. Thomas Biaggi is 6th. Mario Farnbach is 7th. Sean Balf is 8th rather. Second in the Pro-Am class, and therefore would win the championship if things stay as they are. Alan Cadet is behind Vito Postiglione in 10th and 3rd in the Pro-Am class. But lots of gaps ebbing and flowing. We've still got plenty of time left in the race, as Mikkel Mack is already onto terms with Valentin Pierre. SPS Automotive driver. He's got absolutely no reason to jump aside and wave Mikkel Mack through, but this could, if he delays Mack through the final turn, give the opportunity to Fran Rueda. So we have a look, Oliver Wilkinson alongside Mike Benham and the Optimum Motorsport Audi sliding past. Now down the start and finish stretch, this is what we wondered might happen if they all box themselves up behind Pierre. It's the opening for Fran Rueda as Rueda draws alongside Mikkel Mack into turn 1. It's going to be ferociously close, but Mikkel Mack breaks later than late. Still Rueda's got some momentum, but somehow Fran Rueda couldn't get through. Mack holds on into second position as the BMW still looks to line up the move on the Ferrari, and Valentin Pierre had one of the busiest straights of his career as he had two of the championship contenders swarming all around him. And he's still got Filip Frommenvilla to contend with. And then a little bit of breathing room as From Villa looks to the inside of Peterburg. As they head down out of turn 5. The field's still really quite closely bunched. We've got the top 11 all covered by just 20 seconds. Amount of time left in the race. Ample opportunity for those gaps to ebb and flow. Venturini's lead over Mikael Mack is out to 7.8 seconds. So at the end of this race, Giovanni Venturini would be on 112 points. Fran and Victor Bouvin, if things stay as they are going to be on 100 points. They're still mathematically in the mix. Acosta, Filip from Villa would be eliminated from the championship fight, as would Ramos and Mack. But any points for Relator and Bouvin will just help keep things nice and tight. Relator closes up onto the tail of Mikael Mack. In terms of the Pro-Am class, Peterburg leads that from Sean Balfe and Alam Cadet. But that class battle is likely to close it very soon. Here's how it happens again. Mikael Mack, brilliant positioning from the Danish driver to the inside line. And Relator just couldn't quite capitalise on the extra momentum or get the track position he needed. Filip from Villa able to pick his way past Valentin Peterburg through turn 10. Acosta watches his championship opportunity possibly slipping away, because it would just be Relator and Bouvin in contention going into tomorrow's race if things stay as they are. But it certainly wouldn't be all for Venturini and Mapelli, because they would have a lot of success seconds. But I have to tell you, a 5-second penalty has just been applied to Fran as Thomas Biaggi to the inside of Valentin Peterburg. Mario Farnbacker looking to do much the same. On the problem for Filip from Villa. From Villa in the ML Frey Racing Lexus pulls off the road, coming out of turn 10. It's suddenly all happening, and From Villa is in trouble. The 5-second penalty to Fran is for missing a bollard at the pit entry as he came in dangerously. And there is Filip from Villa and an absolutely distraught Acosta. And are we going to see another safety car? From Villa in a very exposed position. Well, we'll find out after the race what it was. And the safety car has come out again for the recovery of Filip from Villa. So the field gets bunched up once more with 21 minutes left on the clock. And this is potentially catastrophic news for Fran Rueda, because he got a 5-second penalty applied to his race time, but he was over 5 seconds clear of Thomas Biaggi at the point at which the safety car came out. So he wouldn't have lost those points for third place. Now, Relator is going to have to hope that he can pull clear of the field when we do get going after the safety car period, because with 5 seconds added to his race time, he could lose a lot of positions. This is pure championship drama here in Barcelona. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. The championship leader, Giovanni Venturini, he leads the way. As things stand, he won't claim the championship today, but he will take a big step towards it. Second place in the race is Mikael Mack. Third is Fran Rueda, but he's got a 5-second penalty hanging over his head. Fourth is Thomas Biaggi. Fifth is Mario Farnbacker. Sixth, and leading the Pro-Am class, is Valentin Peterburg. Seventh is Vito Postiglione. Eighth, second in Pro-Am class, Sean Balfe. Ninth is Alan Cadet. Third in the Pro-Am class, and Antonio Felix da Costa completes the top 10. Well, this morning, it was pole position for Acosta in the Lexus, and it looked as if he and Filip from Villa are going to take the championship fight all the way to the wire. But the race just hasn't gone to plan. From Villa pulling to a halt. The exit of turn 10 into turn 11. Bring out the safety car. bunching up the field. This also is going to be a big help for Thomas Biaggi. He is going to potentially pick up a hatful of points for fourth. I think it's still going to be enough to take him out of the championship fight, but it would be enough to leap him up ahead of Acosta and Villa to third in the standings. So now the race leader, Giovanni Venturini, catches up to the safety car. Mack right behind him, then Fran. And as this race has unfolded, the championship battle is increasingly between the Teo Marti Motorsport BMW of Rueda and Bouveng, Giovanni Venturini in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. Costa and Villa are out of the title fight. And it's going to be a short and sweet safety car. It's going to be in at the end of this lap. So there's going to be time for probably 10 more laps as we go racing once more here in Barcelona. It's been a fantastic race so far. So much drama, so many twists. 2 safety cars, both for mechanical stoppages on the track. And now, for Giovanni Venturini, this is going to be a very important restart. He cannot leave himself vulnerable to the clutches of Mikkel Mack. Fran, can he use the grunt of the BMW maybe to steal a march on somebody? So there is the points situation as it currently stands. But for Fran, he has to be 5 seconds clear of whomever is in 4th position at the checkered flag in order not to lose the place. So now Giovanni Venturini, he bunches the field up. So they jink through the chicane, get up to speed, and Venturini's managed that very well. And he's got a good jump over Mikkel Mack and the same on Fran, and neither Mack nor Rueda are going to be in a position to challenge as they head towards turn 1. Though Mikkel Mack trying to close up to Venturini behind. It's all go as Antonio Felix da Costa looks to get the run on Alam Cadet and would appear to have been successful, or has he? Cadet wants to fight this. Da Costa, though, sneaks through. Now, this is also very good news for Andrea Caldarelli there in the SF Racing Ferrari, because Caldarelli has got a sniff of a Pro-Am class victory on the cards. He's about to move on to the class podium as he looks to challenge to the inside of Cadet. Meanwhile, Farnbacher challenges Biaggi. Valentin Pierre under threat from Vito Postiglione and Antonio Felix da Costa. It's Thomas Biaggi under real pressure, but so is the race leader, Giovanni Venturini. He has got Mikkel Mack looking to try and close up onto his tail. Now, a read from qualifying is that depending on the strategy of the Imperiale team, the tyre situation is possibly in their favour, as Mikkel Mack flashes his headlights at Giovanni Venturini, who, of course, is not going to just leap aside and harm his championship hopes, as Sean Balfe looks to the inside of Valentin Pierre, top 3 in the Pro-Am class, all running as one through turn 10. Pierre from Balfe and Caldarelli. Got another car picking up a penalty, that's Jakob Knoll in the BMW for not fully staying in the pits long enough for their handicap. Meanwhile, Pro-Am battle winds its way through the chicane. Pier Giuseppe Perezzini also not too far adrift of Sean Balfe either. And Balfe wants to take a hatful of points off Perezzini in order to claim the Pro-Am championship. So there's everything to go for as Cadet challenges Caldarelli. Caldarelli challenges Balfe. They're about to all catch up to Valentin Pierre. So here are the top 5 in the Pro-Am class, and they're all running in line on the track and all closing up on the class leader. And this is one of those races where the stars are aligning, all the battles coming together, as now Mario Farnbacher moves to the inside of Thomas Biaggi, goes 4th in the Farnbacher Racing Lexus. Now that's potentially significant for Fran, because to pull 5 seconds over Thomas Biaggi was looking like it was possible. To maintain a 5-second advantage over Mario Farnbacher may be a little bit tougher, particularly as it was only 2 seconds at the point at which Farnbacher made the move. Just under 15 minutes to go. Venturini is only 7/10 ahead of Mikael Mack. Fran in third, a further 7/10 back from him. And then we've got all these squabbles going on behind. It's Postiglione looks to challenge Thomas Biaggi. Turning Felix Acosta also trying to fight his way through. In terms of the Pro-Am class, it's still Pierre from Balfe and Caldarelli. It's just all these gaps to watch for the track position of the various cars. Now, who's having some adventures here? It's Oliver Wilkinson and Sergei Borisov. A little bit of a tap. Fortunately, no damage done. The leading trio blast through. In terms of that 5-second penalty for Fran Rueda, currently, if you were to add 5 seconds to his time, that would shuffle him down into 7th position, as Caldarelli is now right with Valentin Pierre. So Andrea Caldarelli's got past Sean Balfe. This is for the lead of the Pro-Am class, and Andrea Caldarelli's going to go around the outside of Valentin Pierre at turn 3. Brilliant move if Caldarelli can pull it off. Pierre's got the track position. Caldarelli, though, there's sometimes no stopping him. And that is one of those occasions. Absolutely magnificent move from Andrea Caldarelli to take the lead of the Pro-Am class. And now Sean Balfe is under pressure from Alain Cadet and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini. Oh no, he's not. Perezzini collides with Cadet, and around goes the Drivex Mercedes, who rolls back across the track. Fortunately, they all miss him just about, as Cadet looks to find some way of rejoining the race. And there was a gap that was semi there. It was always going to close, and that was a fairly hefty crunch. Meanwhile, Antonio Fitz Acosta to the inside of Vito Postiglione. He gains the position, and Acosta goes up ahead of Postiglione. That promotes Acosta into 6th place. And Alain Cadet, according to our timing screen, is still stranded over at turn 5 in the Drivex Mercedes. No, he's not. He's back on his way, which is just as well, because otherwise we were looking at another safety car. And Acosta passing. Oh, and somebody's kicked up a lot of dust coming out of the final turn. Fortunately, with no consequences beyond that. Now, for Antonio Felix Acosta, what he needs to do is keep Postiglione and himself more than 5 seconds back from Fran Rueda. Here's another look then at this sort out as they came towards turn 5. Cadet was challenging Balfe to the middle of the road. Perezzini went for a gap, and Cadet moved across and thumped into Perezzini. Meanwhile, here is another look at the move from Antonio Felix Acosta on Vito Postiglione. And also the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. Sergei Borisov and Nono Figueiredo, they are battling for the AM class lead as well. They've got Johnny Molam right up with them. So here's Fran Rueda, 3rd in the race, but with a 5-second penalty looming over him. As it stands, that would put him in 7th position. He needs to open up the gap over Mario Farnbacher and Thomas Biaggi, because in terms of the championship, it starts to get very, very precarious for Fran Rueda if he drops much below that. And so the last thing that Rueda would want is a safety car. He can only really afford to gain time on his rivals, because even if on adjusted time he was to finish in 6th position, Fran Rueda, that would just about hand the crown. Oh, and another car in trouble. That is Alain Cadet in the Drivex Mercedes. So across the line, Giovanni Venturini from Mikael Mack. There's Com Ledegar in the Garage 59 McLaren. Now, where is Ledegar in all of this? He is attempting to come into contention in the Pro-Am class. Meanwhile, Perezzini is up ahead of Sean Balfe, and that, in turn, is going to keep the Pro-Am Championship fight alive until tomorrow. So that 5-second penalty for Fran Rueda could get very difficult, because if he were to finish in 6th, the only way they could overhaul Venturini would be to win tomorrow and Venturini to non-score, and that would be nigh on impossible. And Antonio Felix da Costa, he's very wise that he's just eased off the pace, allowing Rueda to get the points that he needs at least to keep the championship battle going on until the final race of the year. So for Fran Rueda, he has got 4 seconds over Thomas Biaggi, so he might be able to just about salvage the points for 4th from this. I don't think he's going to shake off Mario Farnbacher too quickly. Meanwhile, Giovanni Venturini looking set for his 2nd victory of the season. Mikkel Mack unable to stay with the Italian post-safety car. The gap between the pair of them has gone out to 1.6 seconds. In the Pro-Am class, Caldarelli now leads that from Valentin Pierre, Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Sean Balfe. And Sean Balfe would give away 2 points to Perezzini as things stand. It would bring Perezzini into the mix as Perezzini looks to the inside of Valentin Pierre into turn 1. Oh, and Balfe got caught out there as Pierre looked as if he was pulling aside. Then he turned across and shut the door at the last minute. Com Ledegaard riding shotgun, looking for the right moment to try and pick his way through, if he can. Looks inside to turn 4. Sean Balfe turns across, just about shuts the door on Ledegaard, but Ledegaard's going to go through. So they head towards turn 5. Or is he? This is a little bit too close for comfort for the McLaren duo. Balfe retaining that 4th place in cars. Ledegaard almost holding himself back. He's allowing Sean Balfe the chance to challenge Valentin Pierre, because now Pier Giuseppe Perezzini would be adding 8 points to his challenge in the Pro-Am class, finishing 2nd in the class. Sean Balfe, if he finished in 4th, would add 4 points. And so that would bring the gap between the pair of them down to just 8 points heading in to tomorrow. Again, Ledegaard bobbing and weaving behind Balfe. The good news for Fran Rueda is he's now got over 5 seconds of advantage over Thomas Biaggi. So on adjusted time, Rueda would slip into 4th place, where he would get 8 points rather than 10. But it would still keep the championship battle going into tomorrow. For Mario Farnbacher, he's trying to chase down Rueda, as now Antonio Felix da Costa is right with Thomas Biaggi. Thinks about having a little bit of a look. The other driver they cannot discount all of this is Andrea Caldarelli, who's up into 8th and absolutely flying. There is Caldarelli, the very back of your picture in the SF Racing Ferrari. Pier Giuseppe Perezzini now is his team manager summoned to race control. After that, coming together with Adam Cadet. 6 minutes left on the clock. Everything still to go for here in Barcelona, as Andrea Caldarelli is right up with Vito Postiglione. Meanwhile, it's another look at another wayward moment from Mikkel Mack, as Caldarelli closes up to Postiglione. And Andrea Caldarelli seemingly set for a dominant victory in the Pro-Am class, possibly a little bit more than that. So Venturini leads, 1.8 seconds his advantage over Mikkel Mack. 3rd is Fran Rueda on the road. On adjusted time, he's 4th. And that would promote Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. There's side by side Jakub Knoll and Sergei Borisov. Borisov to the gravel. Bounces back on. This has been an absolutely magnificent race. Are there any more twists to come as we head in to the final 5 minutes? Well, Ledegard sized the inside of Sean Balfe, so that is another point off of Balfe's haul. It means that Peretzini is now just 7 points adrift of Sean Balfe, heading to tomorrow. The Pro-Am class. Meanwhile, a moment for Thomas Biaggi. He runs wide. Antonio Felix da Costa heads past. Up into 5th for da Costa. Felipe Maria watches. This is all enough to ensure that Biaggi also slips out of the championship fight, which is going to become a two-way tussle heading to tomorrow. And for Fran away, there's possibly a case of what might have been if he'd been able to emerge from the pits ahead of Mikael Mack, if he'd been able to find a way past the Ferrari, could he have done anything about Giovanni Venturini? It's a little bit sideways from Postiglione as he gets the power down. Here is Mikael Mack, 2nd position. Can he do anything about Giovanni Venturini in the latter stage of the race? They are about to start the penultimate lap. And the gap has come down to 1.5 seconds. Spirit of Race team, watch from the pit wall. Mikael Mack has put in some scintillating performances so far this season. Has he got something very, very special left in the locker? The answer, oh, instead he runs incredibly wide, come out of the final turn. Does very well to keep it all on something like the straight and narrow. And Fran Rueda not close enough to capitalise or take any advantage either. Meanwhile, Fran Rueda is now 2.9 seconds up on Mario Farnbacher. And he is 5.7 seconds up on Antonio Felix da Costa. Now, da Costa can't afford to take much more time out of Fran Rueda without really hurting Fran Rueda's chances for the championship tomorrow. Here's another look at Mikael Mack, slithering out extremely wide, scattering gravel. Miguel Ramos watches. The team know that Mack is leaving it all out there as Com Ledegard chases Valentin Pierre. This is for 3rd in the Pro-Am class. Ledegard having taken a couple of laps to reel in the SPS Automotive Mercedes, might well be able to sneak past. 2 minutes to run. We're about to embark on the final lap of the race. As Ledegard closes up onto Pierre, it looks like he's going to challenge. Not through turn 7 and 8. Instead, Pierre runs out very wide. Ledegard draws alongside as they climb uphill towards turn 9. Through he goes. Meanwhile, Pier Giuseppe Peretzini has got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision, and that is going to put Peretzini out of the points, is it, in the Pro-Am class. It's going to be a very closely run thing relative to the performance of Mike Benham. Now it's suddenly all important for Sean Balfe, if he can, to find a way past Valentin Pierre. The Pro-Am podium is Caldarelli, Ledegard and Pierre. Balfe is going to take points off Peretzini. The question is how many? Into the final lap for Giovanni Venturini, as the Italian combination of Venturini and Mapelli, they've not put a wheel wrong this afternoon, as a somewhat crazy race has unfolded around them. Venturini is now heading towards the cusp of the International GTOpen title for 2017. Barring late disaster for Fran Rueda, he's not going to quite do it today. But it all depends on where Rueda finishes on adjusted time as to how difficult Rueda and Bouveng's task is going to be tomorrow. Out of turn 9, down towards turn 10. On the brakes for Giovanni Venturini. It's going to be his second victory of the season. Consistency has been the name of the game. There was just that one win that came in race 1 at the Hungaroring, but thereafter it's been podium after podium, always in the points every single race this year. As Giovanni Venturini accelerates through the final turn, it's going to be victory in the penultimate race of the season in Barcelona for Giovanni Venturini and Marco Mapelli. A superb performance for the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini squad. Runners-up Mikael, Mack and Miguel Ramos. Fran Rueda and Victor Bouveng finished 3rd on the road. And what's the deficit? 21 fits to Acosta. It's enough on adjusted time to put Rueda into 4th position behind Mario and Dominic Farnbacher, who will be on the rostrum. The Imperiale team celebrate. Now, what about Pro-Am podiums? As it's going to be the class win for Caldarelli, 2nd place to Ledegaard, and 3rd in class to Sean Balfe. And Pierre Giuseppe Perezzini on adjusted time. That, I think, is going to be enough to give Sean Balfe and Rob Bell the Pro-Am Championship this afternoon. So everything has really come to the boil fantastically. We'll wait for our adjusted time to all shuffle through. Confirmation of Fran Rueda in 4th and adjusted time, and Mario Farnbacher and Dominic Farnbacher up into 3rd place. The 10-second penalty for Perezzini, by my reckoning, that puts him out of the points in the Pro-Am class and gives the championship to Sean Balfe and Rob Bell. What an incredible and dramatic race here in Barcelona. Brilliant, brilliant racing. Perezzini, in fact, on adjustment, comes out with 2 points from the day, and so that does indeed give the championship to Bell and Balfe in the Pro-Am class. The overall championship, well, that is going to go to the wire tomorrow, but Giovanni Venturini has done everything that he needed to do. It was a very, very tough race, constant pressure all the way through for the 63 Lamborghini, but Venturini and Mapelli, they soaked it all up. Our pole sitter, Albert Costa and Filip Fromenvilla, the Emil Frey Racing Lexus, fell by the wayside at 2/3 race distance. That has removed them from the championship battle. Fran Rueda and Victor Bouveng. So look then at the final classification. Venturini and Mapelli taking the win, a second clear of Miguel Ramos and Mikael Mack. Dominic and Mario Farnbacher completing the podium, ahead of Victor Bouveng and Fran Rueda. Lorenzo Berardi Viega, Antonio Fitz da Costa in 5th, from Thomas Biaggi and Raffaele Gianmaria. Vito Postiglioni and Christian Engelhardt in 7th, ahead of Fusong Yang and Andrea Caldarelli, our Pro-Am class winners from Alex West and Cobb Ledegaard. Sean Balfe and Rob Bell, 10th overall, complete the Pro-Am podium and win the Pro-Am Championship. Peterburg and Oslo Cole just outside the delight for Venturini and Mapelli. We'll give you a rundown of the updated championship situation in a moment, but it's going to be very, very difficult for Rueda and Bouveng to do the honours tomorrow. Hot work in the cockpit for Giovanni Venturini. Here is a look at the classification, and they're 12 points adrift. Venturini has got to drop 2 points, so the minimum that he could finish tomorrow on is 12 points. That means that Rueda and Bouveng, really, they have got to win, and nothing else will do. Miguel Ramos and Mikael Mack, they gave it their all today. Hard afternoon's work for the pair of them, but they're all smiles. They're back on the podium. In 3rd place, Dominic and Mario Farnbacher. But this, all about a day of celebration for the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini team. Photo call to complete first of all. All smiles in Parc Ferme.
Win for Giovanni Venturini, Marco Mappelli, reinforcing the leadership in the standings for Giovanni. But let's start with Marco, who did the first stint, quite a lively start.
Yeah, actually the Lexus had a bad start, so I get the position with you and Engler, and then I put the gap, but then safety car came, and so my gap was back to 0. And then in 3-4 laps I get 1.8 seconds. Then the Lexus unluckily had a problem in the pit stop, and then an issue at the racetrack. So we had the opportunity to stay in front. Another safety car came in, but Giovanni did an amazing job, and especially the team who prepared the car. And finally we can give them this win.
And Giovanni, it's not done, but you are getting closer.
Yeah, we have to see it tomorrow, you know, but anyway, Marco did a mega job, especially in the start. Then passed me the car when we were in P1, and I kept the leading. But another safety car destroyed our gap. But at the end, I managed the pace. Our car was fantastic today, so enjoy this victory. Thank you.
You're right. Enjoy the moment. Podium now, guys. Thank you. Bravi.
From pole position, it was Acosta who got jumped off the line by the Imperiale Racing Lamborghinis as they surged towards turn 1. Victor Bouveng also in the thick of the action. It's the huge field charged towards the first corner. It was Mappelli who took the advantage from Christian Engelhardt behind as several cars ran wide. Craig Dolby got caught in a skittle effect, and sadly the Wessex Vehicles Lamborghini into the tyre wall and out of the race. The opening exchanges frantic. Actually was up into second in pursuit of Marco Mappelli as Duncan Tappi came together with Rinaldi Racing. Ferrari, meanwhile, Victor Bouveng, as he went to the pit stop, just misjudged his entry, and that got he and Fran a 5-second penalty. So post-pit stops, leading the way, it was Giovanni Venturini with Mikael Mack and Fran Rueda in close pursuit. Sadly for Filip Fromenville in the ML Frey Racing Lexus, the car suddenly stopping on him, bringing out the safety car, and despair for Albert Costa as the championship charge came to a close. Meanwhile, there was some frenetic fighting in the Pro-Am class, which came to head as Pierre Giuseppe Perezzini and Cadet collided. So it was victory for Giovanni Venturini and Marco Mappelli, second to Mikkel Mack and Miguel Ramos, and third to Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. Fourth to Rueda and Bouveng keeps them in the championship fight, whilst third in the Pro-Am class is enough to give Sean Balfe and Rob Bell a victory in the Pro-Am championship. So about to be a lively podium, one would suggest. This is on to the third step of the rostrum for Dominic and Mario Farnbacher. They've been on the pace all day. And great to see the Farnbacher Racing Lexus back on the rostrum. Miguel Ramos and Mikkel Mack, a tough afternoon's racing for both of them, and richly rewarded with second place. And our race winners, Giovanni Venturini and Marco Mappelli for the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini team. Celebrating, getting a big step closer to the championship in Barcelona. Italian national anthem for the winning drivers on to the trophies. Third place to Dominic and Mario Farnbacher. Runners up in the Spirited Race Ferrari, Ramos and Mikael Mack. And race winners, Giovanni Venturini and Marco Mappelli. A perfect job in a frenetic race. It all kicked off around them, but they stayed out front from lights to flag and can enjoy the triumph at the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. However, as they make a dash from the podium, there is still the championship to race for tomorrow, and it's still between Giovanni Venturini, Fran and Victor Bouveng. So 6 very happy drivers as we turn our attention to the Pro-Am class, which was quite frantic in the latter stages. Third place going to Sean Balfe and Rob Bell, and that has given them the Pro-Am title. Runners-up, Com Ledegaard and Alex West, with then victory going to Andrea Caldarelli and Fusong Yang. So plenty to celebrate. The Pro-Am battle equally as tough as the one at the very front of the field. Therefore, a big roar likely as the drivers take to the podium. Third place to Bell and Balfe. West and Ledegaard, runners up. And Andrea Caldarelli, a fantastic drive through the second half of the race to give Fusong Yang their first Pro-Am win of the season for the SF Racing Ferrari. Chinese national anthem to salute the SF Racing Ferrari team as Bell and Balfe receive the third place trophies. Runners up, Ledegaard and West. Another charging drive from Com Ledegaard. And class winners, Caldarelli and Fusong Yang. Very happy drivers on the top step of the podium. It's been a fantastic afternoon of racing here in Barcelona, but the championship will go down to the wire. Make sure that you join us 2 o'clock Central European time tomorrow for the championship finale for the 2017 International GTOpen. Until then, we will turn our attention to the AM class podium as well. And the AM class was claimed by Nono Figueiredo and Marcio Basso, and they withstood the immediate post-pit stop pressure from Sergei Borisov, and then Rinat Salakov, who started the race, and the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari with Luis Silva and Antonio Coimbra. AM class champions already, finishing in third place in the class. Sport and new Mercedes pairings. Hand it up for the cameras. It's on to the rostrum. Coimbra and Silva. Runners up, Salakov and Borisov. great to see the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari being so competitive throughout the course of the day. But Nono Figueiredo and Marcio Basso, an excellent 13th overall and victory in the Sporting U Mercedes in the AM class. So the Brazilian national anthem, the Portuguese national anthem for Basso and Figueiredo. On to the presentation of the trophies. The Sporting U Mercedes team well represented on the podium. Third place to Luis Silva and Antonio Coimbra. Runners-up after a race of adventures in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari for Rinat Salikov and Sergei Borisov. Nono Figueiredo and Marcio Basso winning the AM class. Fantastic race here in Barcelona today. We'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow as the championship will be decided. Until then, it's goodbye from the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya.